Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Allison Calvert and I will be the host for this TLC session. We are excited that you have joined us today for Ashford Humanities Review and the ASH, shining a spotlight on Ashford student authors. Please welcome Dr. Julie Pedersen and Dr. Caroline Morrell.
Hi everyone, thanks Allison. I'm Julie Pedersen. And I am co-editor-in-chief of the Ashford Humanities Review. My co-editor, Matthew Lewerenz, is sharing his screen now. And on the screen, you can see our journal. So I just wanted to take a minute or so to give a little brief history of the journal. And I think it was as long ago, 7 years ago, the idea of having student journals published by Ashford kind of took seed, and there were a good 2 years of meetings as we kind of defined, and we decided that we would have one journal, this journal, the Ashford Humanities Review, and another journal, the ASH, which Carolyn and Michael will be talking about in a few minutes. And so this year marks our 4th year. So these journals have both been live and in existence for 4 years. They're official journals. They have ISSN numbers in the Library of Congress. They're both peer-reviewed journals, and the goal with both of them is to give Ashford University students the chance to submit and perhaps get their work published, and go through the experience of what it's like to, submit to a journal and wait and keep checking your email. And then one day you get that email and then you call your mom, and then you just wait till the publication comes out. So anyone here attending or anyone listening to this recording later, in a minute you'll see, let me just instruct Matt. If you can just scroll down the screen a little bit. So this is our current issue, volume 4. And if you go all the way down the screen, you can see our past issues. And so if you ever want to check out any of those, just click on that. And on the right-hand side of the journal is the submittable link. And that's how students just click on that and follow the instructions for submitting your work for the journal. And we hope to get more participation as we come up on our 5th anniversary. I believe that's the Jubilee anniversary, right? So next year, hope to be a great year. And I'll just turn the screen over to Matt for a moment, who's going to show you our kind of flyer that we hope you'll find frequently in your classes and or on the landing page in Canvas. Matt, if you want to go ahead and put that up.
Certainly.
This is Matt, my co-editor.
Hi. I don't know if you can hear me
yes.
or see me. But I'm Matthew Lewerenz, and I'm core faculty in the College of Liberal Arts. And as Julie noted, I'm co-editor-in-chief of the AHR, and I've been involved with the AHR and to some degree the ASH as well for a couple of years now. And this is a great flyer that we've put together here that sort of showcases both of them, and we hope to use it as a tool to reach out to as many people across the university as we can, faculty, staff, students, to let them raise awareness of both of these journals. You can find links that'll take you to both journals here embedded in the PDF itself.
I'm not seeing, sorry to interrupt, I'm not seeing the flyer. Are you showing it on screen?
Yeah, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm not seeing it.
All right, let me try something real quick.
It's all right. Maybe you can work on it and we can show that at the end.
I think I can do it by doing this. Can you see it now?
There we go.
All right. Okay, so here it is. Here's the thing I've been talking about for the past 30 seconds. And you can click through up here to go to the ASH. You can click through here to go to the AHR. And down here, you can also find a click to Submittable. So it's a one-stop shop document that will take you to both of our journals and allow you to submit. And we want to get it out there to as many people as possible and spread it around and raise awareness of these two amazing publications and get some people submitting their work. People don't necessarily have to be, you could be a Forbes business technology student, but maybe you write creative fiction on the side or poetry that's submitted to the ASH. And likewise, you could be in a psychology major, but have written a really good critical essay, and you should go to the AHR. So that's my plug and my spiel, and this is the flyer. And I will hand it back over to Julie now.
Yeah, if you could go back to the homepage of the journal, the Ashford Humanities Review. All right, and then if you could scroll down to Jamie's piece and open it. Thank you. And if you could scroll up a little bit so that we can see the full introduction, great. So at this point, I would like to hand over the mic and video to Jamie Lynn King, Ashford University student, whose piece she'll be reading her introduction, and also to Brandy Robinson, adjunct faculty, who served as the mentor for Jamie's piece. In the AHR, because these are rigorous academic pieces, we have a rigorous mentoring process, and Jamie's going to read her introduction, and then she and Brandy will kind of just describe the mentoring process, what it's like, how frightening it is, how much you love and hate it, and then especially love it when it's all done and you see your work in print. So I'll hand it over now to Brandy and Jamie. If you each want to say hello, and then Jamie, you can start to read your piece.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone. This is Brandy.
Okay, go for it.
All right. So I'm Jamie Lynn King, and I am the author of the article entitled, "Are Women Considered Cheap Labor?" Are women considered cheap labor? We are living in the 21st century, and women still make less money than men. Throughout history, women have been victims of gender discrimination, inequality, stereotyping, and sexism on a global scale. According to Equality, Empowerment, and Choice, what does feminism mean to contemporary women? There is an imbalance in which women are exploited and oppressed by the social system known as patriarchy. The feminist movement supports gender equality and aims to end the social dominance of women. The gender wage gap creates an economic disadvantage for women. Legislative actions have been taken around the world to dissolve the discriminatory sexism and inequality that women face, but progress slowly came to a halt and has stagnated over the past decade. Existing laws are not working. New anti-discrimination laws need to be created to facilitate the elimination of the gender-based income gap and promote wage equality among men and women. Women's rights are limited because of legislation and policies compromised by the conservatives' war on women. This war creates challenges and barriers for women by attempting to obliterate a woman's right to reproductive choice, affordable health care, equal access to safety net programs, and social insurance. Sexism, gender stereotypes, and occupational segregation are contributing factors to gender-based income disparity, and new laws must be created to eliminate this imbalance.
Okay, thank you for that reading of your introduction to your piece. Now, Brandy and Jamie, if you guys want to just, maybe Brandy, you could start by talking about, so our process, I'll just say, all the pieces we get submitted, I send out to all editors, and we kind of do a parsing through until we get to a universal consensus on which pieces we'd like to publish. And then an editor is assigned or an editor chooses. And in this case, Brandy offered to serve as mentor for Jamie's piece.
Yes, so Jamie's piece called out to me because of my women's rights background. And when I actually read the article, I thought it was a great piece already. And it just needed a little bit more support because from what I can see in her writing, it was actually a call to action piece. And that call to action piece can be subtly overlooked if you are just looking at the general broad topic of women's rights. So I instantly grabbed that article and said, I want to mentor that student because she was on the right path. And I knew that she was on the right path because it wasn't just this general overview that you would get from, let's say, an encyclopedia. She had very minute details that if you did the research, you would understand that she was onto something. And these were these minor, subtle instances of discriminatory acts that are not necessarily seen across, society as discriminatory because we overlook these things. And so I knew that this was a piece that the journal definitely needed to have on its list. And Jamie did a great job. The process was a very long, painstaking process. And I applaud Jamie because she worked hard on it while going to school and working full time. And she brought it up to date. Jamie?
Go ahead, Jamie.
And I want to say that with Brandy's help, I was able to take I felt it was a really good article. I loved the assignment, actually. I felt inspired by the research. I really dug in. It was one of those things where you start going and it's like, man, this is really interesting. And then once I got paired up with Brandy, she made me see it from a little bit different perspective. She was able to help me improve the relevance of my paper by making it more current and a lot more meaningful and relevant. And I'm very excited with what it turned out to be. And I didn't realize until I began working and doing all this research that I'm a little bit of a feminist myself. I have 2 girls. I'm a woman. These things are important. And I realized I'd done extensive research. I realized that this is a problem today. It still is a problem today. And I feel in my heart that something really, really does need to change. And so I think a little bit of that inspiration and feeling that then kind of helped push me even more when I was writing my paper.
Thanks for that. If you could take a minute, we have just about a little over a minute left here before we hand it over to Carolyn, Michael, and the Ash. I remember I called you to let you know that your piece had been accepted, and just describe that feeling if you can. It was
exciting. I felt like, I guess I would say, accomplished, like I had really accomplished something, and I was excited and I wanted to share it with my mom, and then I called my grandma, and I even posted on Facebook, hey, I'm being published. Very exciting. And I really felt like my hard work was for something. So, and I really appreciate the opportunity that you guys have given me to be published. And thank you.
Well, that's great. And just so you know, just because you were published in 1 volume doesn't mean you can't continue to submit. So keep that in mind.
Thank you.
So thanks to Brandy and Jamie. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Caroline Morrell and Dr. Michael Cooper. And they are editing this year's volume of The Ash.
Thank you, Julie. So I serve as one of the editors of The Ash, and The Ash is the literary art magazine here at Ashford University. Here at The Ash, we have a small but really great team of published writers who serve as editors, and this includes Adam Deutsch and Michael Cooper, as well as a few associate faculty members who volunteer as readers from time to time. We started this journal way back when. Our first issue is about 4 years old, I believe, and we just published our 4th volume of student writing and artwork. and that's up on our sites. We, as you can see here on the screen, this is one of our very first issues, Volume 1, Issue 1. And there's some great stories. I encourage everyone to, when you get a chance, go through the archive and scroll through some of the early issues. We publish 2 online issues per year, one in October. We just finished the October issue, and another in April, both of which are available to the entire Ashford community as well as the public at large. And we do accept submissions of original student work year-round through Submittable. And Submittable is an online service, submission service that helps students or helps anyone who uses it track their submission. And there's a link for that under our submission guidelines, which is one of those top tabs on our webpage. And when we publish work, we archive it. So all of our issues are archived, and contributors to the ASH will see their work published online and archived indefinitely. Our journal, it really provides an important opportunity for Ashford student writers to experience this thrilling and complex and sometimes disappointing process of revising their creative work, seeking out a literary journal, following submission guidelines, and corresponding with editors. So I think it's a really invaluable experience. And so now we'd like to share a short poetry reading from 2 of our students. Our first reader this afternoon is Krista Ryan, and this is Krista's photograph, Translucent Web.
Hi.
Krista Ryan, I'll introduce you in just—
Oh, sorry.
You're fine. Krista Ryan is a senior at Ashford University, where she's pursuing a BA in journalism and mass communications with a minor in writing. She lives in the historic Ohio village of North Bend, has experience working in the nonprofit sector, and is a member of the Society of Professional Journalists. Go ahead, Krysta.
Climbing Dream. Climb into the chamber of my cold and lonely soul. Climb through the cluttered cobwebs of my dark mind out of control. Climb past the twisted mind forest, through the thorny thicket called Memory Lane. Climb over the broken rocks of heartache, and through the pity pools of tears and pain. Climb across the river of regret and sorry, down the waterways of discontent. Climb along Confusion Creek, over where grudges brew and ferment. Climb onto the shores of secret self-sorrow, shade the sadness from the sun's cheerful light. Climb into the morning's hand, and don't let go, and walk this dream straight back to night. That's it, the end.
Krysta, feel free to share your second poem if you like. We have time for it.
Okay, this one is called Nighttime Problems. War with the coming of day, fear of light. The sun's last rays falls over the distant hill. Nocturnal things hide in the woodlands still. Sluggishly, the humans sleepwalk at night. Glowing silhouettes, batty wings in flight. Silver crescents hang with dormancy skill. Night veils a strain on dreamers' free will. Lucid dreams, true insomniac delight. Countless stars disturb the moon from slumber. Strange echoes roar with the forest nook. A confused clock, circadian rhythm. The counting of sheep to an infinite number. The moon displays night like an open book. Lost REM sleep, true dreamers fall victim. The end.
Thank you, Krysta.
I'm just going to intervene here for a second and say that those are both very lovely. And I'm sitting here in my condo on a Wednesday afternoon, and in just these, brief few minutes, I'm transported to a different place. I'm hearing like a live poetry reading, and I think that Ashford should do this like once a month on a Wednesday. So sorry to hog the mic. Back to you.
No, that's fine. I think it's a great idea. I was a little nervous, but I got through it. I actually enjoyed it.
You did wonderful. Yeah, I was thinking and feeling the same thing. This is great. Thank you, Krista.
You're welcome.
Our very next reader will be introduced by another ASH editor, Dr. Michael Cooper.
Thanks, Carolyn. This is going to be perhaps a TLC first. Our next reader wasn't actually able to make it with us today because he works full-time Monday through Friday. Understandably, this does not fit into his schedule. But the writer is Mr. Roman Weiss. He's an English student here at Ashford University. Currently, he lives in Salem, Oregon, though he's originally from the Bay Area. In his spare time, Roman enjoys reading literary classics, biographies, and world history. These interests inevitably find a way into his writing. And just to give you a background of how I encountered Roman, Roman was actually a student of mine several months ago in ENG 317. That's an International Voices Literature course. And, sometimes I'll notice students who have a particular knack for writing. I often do. And I'll reach out to them and ask if they want to write for the English program's newsletter. And I reached out to Roman with that offer, and he happily accepted. And he then wrote a great film review about The Great Debaters. It was a film that was released in 2007, stars Denzel Washington and Forrest Whitaker. Great movie, but even better movie review that we included in our English program's newsletter. And so after all of this, lo and behold, Roman actually submitted to the journal too. I had nothing to do with that. He went out on his own initiative and submitted to the ASH, and Carolyn and Adam, who are the main poetry editors, they loved his work. And then they found out that he was a student of mine formerly, and that he's now writing in an English Exchange newsletter too. So it was just a happy coincidence, and we're glad to have Roman included in this quarter's journal. So I have the video recording of Roman reading his great poem. It's called The Tempest of Life. And again, this is a recording, and here we go.
Here it is, Tempest of Life. Roman Weiss. A candle lit, it burns its bright, holds sway in viewing darkness, and living fast, consumes the squelching light. Amidst the winds and torrents of the light, it dies with every drop, and flickers lest in fright. Impending silent voids take flight, like vultures round the glow, at bay, await, and gather for the onset of the night. The sentinel boldly sparks its fight, against impending ruin, as one courageous and in defiance might wage their hopeless flight. Leviathan, relentless flow.
Okay. That was it, the excerpt that he shared with us through audio. So thank you so much, Roman. He's going to be watching the recording briefly once he has time. So thanks again, Roman. And any questions or other comments, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Roman. I did notice that Allison gave us the 5-minute heads up for Q&A session. I'm not sure if we're there yet, but
well, let's go ahead and ask the student writers some questions. What were the inspirations of your pieces?
I don't know who you want to ask first. I guess I can go.
Jamie, perhaps?
Okay, yeah. So for one thing, I love doing research just in general. It kind of takes me away and I get lost in my research sometimes. And I got the assignment in my English Comp 2 class, and I realized right away that I am a feminist, and I feel like it's really an important subject. I have 2 girls myself, and so I would like to see them, be treated equally and reach their greatest potential in life. And so I think that drives my motivation in a lot of ways.
it's a great instance of self-empowerment that you found through the writing process. That's a great anecdote to share. Our other writer, Krysta, how about you?
The first one, the one that was actually published on the Ash, that has been a poem, like a work in progress. I started it, I guess I've done 4 different revisions of it. In 2001 was the first one that I had written. And when I took your class, Dr. Cooper, and got a grade on it, I felt a little bit more confident about submitting it. So, and that's the one that was accepted. A lot of my dreams have to do with sleeping problems because I have a family member, my grandmother suffers really severe problems where she actually, you know, kind of loses herself and doesn't know what's going on. And she kind of has inspired me to kind of dive into that whole nocturnal world a little bit and talk about dreams. And, but as far as poetry goes, I kind of thought it was a dying thing. I didn't think that people even wanted to read it or be involved with it anymore. So it's kind of nice to know that it's still a thing and that people will read it. So
absolutely. And put it on your resumes too, of course. These are official publications.
Right.
That's really great to hear, Krysta. Thank you for sharing that little glimpse into your process. And I was going to ask about revision, but I see that there is a question in the chat here for Jamie. Can you define what you mean by I am a feminist?
Well, I support women. I believe that all women should feel empowered. I believe that women are, I'm not necessarily a complete feminist. I believe completely in equality. I believe in female empowerment. And so that's what I mean by that I'm a feminist. I support the feminist movement. I support the Me Too movement. I support, you know, tearing down the glass ceiling and allowing women to reach their height. I think that benevolent sexism is a huge issue that happens in our world right now, and women endorse this because it's like they feel almost like it's normal or like that's the way it's supposed to be. And since the beginning of time, we've thought, you know, men are the hunters and gatherers and women, you know, take care of kids. But I think that a woman is so much more than just a mother. You know, women are people. Women have the same potential that men have. And so that is why I feel that I am a feminist. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you, Jamie. There's one more question in here for Krysta. Krysta, can you define what you mean by poetry? What qualifies as poetry to you?
Well, I actually wrote a poem about me and poetry, but
Krysta,
it's funny because with the English language. So that's what I like, you know, to kind of do experimental work as well. And so knowing that poetry is still an accepted way of expressing yourself and still very scholarly has kind of put a whole new perspective on my relationship with poetry. You know, I can kind of do different things with things that I never had done when I was younger and had to do, you know, your simple haikus or your, you know, sonnets and those things that you learned in grammar school. But now, you know, I can kind of manipulate it, look over it, and then work with the words. And that's why I think poetry has evolved for me rather than just something on a Valentine's card. So poetry to me now it can be a lot of things, you know. You can find it on a billboard, you can find it like, you know, on a wrapper, you can find it on everywhere. It's everywhere. And that's what I think that I had forgotten or never was taught until Michael Cooper's class. So it was really nice that to have that kind of validity to back it up, you know. But I hope that answered the question.
That's great. It must be great for you, Michael, to hear that, you know.
I love it. And, you know, it brings me back to the days when I was an undergraduate and worked with my professors closely to, you know, get publishable quality of writing finished, you know, the drafting process. And it's a great opportunity that we have here at Ashford to work with students one-on-one, particularly through these journals. So.
Yeah, I'll just maybe as a final closing comment, you know, build upon that specific point. These two journals are across the whole university, you know, the only instances where students work extracurricularly, so to speak, with professors and mentors to further develop, you know, their skills as writers, as you know, students, as scholars, and as individuals. And so, you know, the editors, I think I can speak for all of us. We, you know, we love being part of this unique thing. You know, at this point, no other, you know, online university that we know of has, you know, devoted resources and time and activities to publishing journals. So it's a great opportunity, and we'll go down in the history books. I think we're getting close to our final time there.
I do have one more quick question. Do you guys have an age limit on submissions? Like what, like you don't take high school, obviously.
At the ASH, the ASH, we only read and accept Ashford student work.
I wasn't sure if that was
a current student at Ashford.
Okay, perfect. That answered the question. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, the same for the Ashford Humanities Review. We only publish the work of current or recently graduated because our submission time is a year. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That answered the question.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody. This session has come to a close. I wanted to send a special thank you to Dr. Pedersen and Dr. Morrell and the student readers and additional faculty who have joined us for today for your presentation and for everyone participating. Please feel free to enjoy the rest of TLC speakers today and tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.